Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to my. Yes. It's a new month. Excuse me. I love March because in this month I have the most number of celebrations personally. First of all, March is my husband's birthday. Second of all, March is my first two children's birthday. Next of all, March is the birthdays of my two best friends. Next of all, March is the day. In fact, first March is the day that the Witty Mind and the RTA got a physical office. So exactly 1 year ago, I sat on this chair officially and formally. Plenty celebrations this month. That is my month of marching forward. I like March because it just gives you that mindset of we're already in the third month. What is happening? The first quarter is about to end. So there's just this renewed vibe and energy in the month of March that I totally love. Maybe it's because of the name March. Like, come on, march on, march on. And here we are. Thank you so much for joining me again. If you're watching from any part of the world or the nation, you can write in the comment section. And of course, in Nigeria, it's a new era, as it were, for the nation. Even though generally the mood is quite low because the outcome of the elections are not too pleasant, or not pleasant at all, if I might say. My teenagers were saying to me, "Can we just relocate, mommy? Can we just like can we?" One said Costa Rica, one said the European country, another one said Canada, all sorts of suggestions. And that is why I really think that this conversation for today is essential. The truth is, plan B as japping, plan B as leaving the nation, plan B as washing your hands off the nation does not help at the long run. People have come up to say, "Oh, I need therapy. Oh, I've given up on Nigeria." Finally, somebody said, "My hope in Nigeria is remaining 5%." I said that 5% is as big as a mustard seed. That's what, and that is what is required to move mountains. If you have 5%, it's more than enough for God to do what He has to do. So I had to get Uncle TJ. You don't know what it means to get Uncle TJ here, but I just want to give the Lord all the glory that Uncle TJ was able to make it to us, make it with us here today. And the reason why, excuse me, I want Uncle TJ to be here is because he is on the field. That's what I said to him. I said, "Uncle TJ, you are on the field working with the young people and trying to raise leaders. I mean, if you cannot lead successfully as a teenager in secondary school, how be it you want to come and be our president, our governor, our senator?" Okutiche is going to be sharing with us how he even got teenagers to be interested in leadership. How do we get our children? Because if you look at it, the young people are more interested in fame, they are more interested in funds, they are more interested in fun. Those three things. They just want to be famous. I want 1 million followers. That's money. My teenager said, "Etima, do you know what it means? Instagram will be paying you. Facebook will be paying you." They are more interested in all that. They are more interested in catching crews. They are more interested in just as long as I'm earning money. That's what they will tell you. What is it, ma? Is it not to earn money? Let's just earn the money. Whether it's changing changing society or not, as long as we earn our money, we move. So having the conversation about politics and leadership, trust me, is an uphill task. First of all, the disinterest. Second of all, the diverse mindset about what it's all about. Politics is a dirty game. I have made those statements before. I have felt like the good cannot do politics because you can't deal. Like, where would you start from? Your hands need to go dirty and all that. How do we go about this, Uncle TJ? Because this for me is a way of getting things done right. I can't join the crowd and vent on Facebook. I can't. I have a generation in my hands. What can we do as parents and mentors to help to solve this problem, because things don't go right, we all suffer for it, unfortunately. So you have the floor. This is your field. My book is open, my pen is set. We just want to learn how we can go about having these conversations. Thank you, Uncle TJ, and welcome here again. We're so delighted to have you.
Thank you, the one and only Auntie Etima. Good afternoon to those of you who are in Africa, in Nigeria, and good morning, good night to all those watching from other places of the world. I'm excited to be here, and I've just been all smiles because I think if we should be honest with ourselves, many of us, if not all of us, have been in the same position like Auntie Etima mentioned. You just want this whole conversation to happen, not happen at the same time, and you just want the whole thing happening around you just to pass. Um, but let's look at this critically. And if we ask ourselves the question and not think about the answer from where we are standing, are young people interested in leadership? The answer is yes, a big, big yes. So leadership is about influence. Why do they want to become popular? They want to influence how people probably perceive them, how people respond, and that is leadership. Unfortunately, they are doing that based on the feeling and not the purpose of leadership, the feeling that comes with being a leader. So yes, they want to be. And interesting, I did a research last year with about 6,000 teenagers, and um, over 85, close to 90% of them wanted to be leaders. The basic question, if they like to preside over the country or something, the answer was yes. And not just yes, wide yes. And there were three things that were standing out. When you become a leader, there's power that comes with it. So you have power to do and undo. When you become the president or the governor, there is popularity to the power. So yes, they still achieve the goal of fame. And then if you have that power and the popularity, the other thing that now follows is money. So now you have authority, you have power, you have fame, and then now you have money. Those were the basic reasons why they all responded yes to becoming leaders in public space. By the way, I run an NGO, Teens on Fire Leadership Network. Our focus is raising young people, teenagers, to be more specific with special focus in public service. And that was why we did that. And I realized they really want to be there. But the why was now the big question. And their why has been simply influenced by what they see. So, excuse me. So, the question I'm asking ourselves here, as parents, as teen mentors that are here, teachers, those who are handling adolescents, what are the teenagers around you seeing the most? I look down at my fourth child, Marvel, and I see how she follows her brother around, mirrors what he does. When Marvel prays, Marvel mirrors my prayer. I pray loudest the most. So when you say let's pray, she jumps up and she says the things she hears daddy say. I look at all my children and I ask myself, this basic thing, Etima, that they say, you look like your mother or talking like your
Mm-hmm.
children. Yeah, children will always reflect what they see the most. So when you even come, we're going to go to the conversation, but when it comes to their orientation that affects the conversation, it is basically a function of what they see the most. So let me ask you, dear parents, dear teen mentor, what has been your disposition to political affairs? And Tetima said something, yeah. Politics is for the bad people. As factual as that may be because of the reality, politics actually is a result of the players. So if it's like a football team, if you have good players playing a football team, maybe I'm going to call some. I love football because my team is leading in the Premier League in Arsenal. I'm going to use them. And there's one team that is struggling to win. We all know the team Chelsea. when the strategy and everything is bad, you see the team going down and they find it very hard. I hope we have the Chelsea fans watching this and maybe they're going to throw stones at me. You see, they have great players, as it were, but they have a poor strategy. Maybe they don't have great players, as one would expect, that will form a team. What happens? The team goes down. Arsenal have been struggling. At least now they're at the top. We pray that they remain at the top to the end of the season. So you see the dynamics of the team now determines the outcome of the result of the team. So also in politics, if you have good people playing politics, politics ends up giving good results. You have bad people playing politics, it ends up having bad results. If you have good people playing politics with bad strategies, what do we have? We have bad results. So the question is, what do we have? And most time, I think it was there was this statement. I think it's credited to Nelson Mandela. He says, "Evil thrives when good men do nothing. Evil thrives when good men do nothing." So good men sit down in the stadium as part of the what do you call it, spectators, shouting, in vernacular. If a player like that, you don't see that guy for there, why you not pass the ball, give that guy? Those of us who watch TV, we always know what to do right, but we never get into the field of play to do right. How can the player with the ball, who is faced with the opposition that may break his leg, be thinking what you are thinking because you are seen from an aerial view? He's on the ground. He knows the pressure. He feels the pressure. So sometimes, I'm saying all this to say this, sometimes we build our narrative from an external point of view, and then we make that so strong that when these young ones see us, what they encounter is not the reality of what is, but the reality we have created from our lack of engagement in politics. I hope you got that clear. So, young people, let me dive a little to something that is I could use to relate with this. You hear young people say school must scam. And the truth is, the reason they said school is scam is not because they don't learn in school, but because the promises we made them look forward to going into school was nowhere to be found, was not relatable. So we tell them the stories of our time, and they're looking, okay, all our professors, what are they professing? They don't have anything. Where? Quantum physics, there's no quantum development of anything. And then they go and they click one thing and it returns them dollars or Bitcoin, and then you're speaking English. At the end of the day, your English that you're teaching is enough for them to have a life and make money, and they're making money without the English. We're going to come and we're going to come because we're going to mention a few things, but I'm just laying this foundation for us to realize that the political conversation is basically influenced by our disposition. My 10-year-old son was telling me about these elections, and I asked him, "What do you think?" And he said, "Many people want Peter Obi to win." And I asked him why, and we started having that conversation. He said, "Well, he likes the man, he wants the man to win. That Warrior sports Nigeria," and he just went on. Those were his opinion. When he said all that, I kept on asking, how did Buhari spoil Nigeria? And they said, and I went down to ask him, have you made any research? You have access to your tab, and you go to YouTube. What have you researched about Buhari? I didn't stand in the place to say, the man spoiled Nigeria. Imagine, fuel was like this when he came in, dollar was like this when he came in. That. What I helped him achieve was critical thinking. Most importantly, beyond how we feel is our ability to analyze. And if we are not conscious enough, we will help dulling. If there's that any word like that, is there anyone like dulling? we will help, yeah, we help
In our Pidgin English
dull.
dictionary, maybe.
My sister is speaking right now. Will help weaken the intelligence of
Yeah.
our young people.
Mm.
And what happens is our teenagers here, what happens is that they just flow with whatever information. That's why you see on social media when somebody pastes a thing, they don't think about it before they share. They don't think about it before they attack because they lack critical thinking. So let me come back a little bit into the having had conversations. And one of the things I just said here was that they reflect what they see basically in us. Now, that shows us a bigger problem. that the problem is not that the conversation is difficult, but let's look at why or what are difficult conversations. I know in other series you guys may have handled this. There are conversations that are embarrassing, such as sex and all that. Conversations that can be upsetting, something that makes one feels probably he's losing out and the other one is winning. Conversations that could be controversial. And let me stay a little bit on these controversial conversations. Controversial conversations. Now, today's reality, we are talking about women empowerment. I know Auntie Etima will like this one. Women empowerment and all that. There are school of thoughts that says the man is the head. And now someone is come to tell me that it is not the man that is the head, it's the one who can provide that is the head. That is a very controversial conversation. If you put this on the table in Africa, you will hear banters from left and right slapping you. It's so hard. There are lots of other controversial conversations, But what has influenced controversial conversations? I'll just pick two things and miss a lot of other things. One will be what are called communication barriers, barrier to communication. Okay, so when you look at communication barriers, you ask yourself, what are the things that limit this conversation that stands between me and the person I'm communicating with? One of the things is language. Language is a communication barrier. I'll look at language in two sides. Now, language is the language that we all know when it comes down to tribe. So Etima will start to speak. Is it Efik now, Etima?
Yes.
Etima will start to speak Efik. I will reply with Urobo. I will be quarreling. But we are saying the same thing actually. But because we do not understand our language, we will think we are opposite side of the coin. So language could be a barrier from that angle. Another angle of where language is speaking at the frequency of her thinking. So Etima is saying something, so she's saying 12, and I'm saying dozen. And then she doesn't really understand that we are saying the same thing. Because she wants the number counted, I'm thinking about the grammatical representation of the number. So she's saying, no, not dozen, it's 12. So when we look at the language of the young people, now their language is, this Gen Z, their language is unique. There's a time you just say a particular thing and it's like you have shot yourself on the foot. There was a time I did a movie, and in the movie, I said, what's the thing I said? Something like, when I come to daddy, who's your daddy? Yeah, I said, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? I was talking to my daughter in the movie, and it was fun. I never knew that had another meaning to these young guys. And when, the movie, they were premiering the movie, and all of them were there, and I got to the place where I heard, who's your daddy? All of them said, Uncle TJ, And I was like, Then I got to find out that it had some sexual connotation. I was like, really? So sometimes you think you're speaking their language. I'm going to pull all this back to this conversation. We need to understand this. So you think you're speaking their language when you want to have these conversations with them, but you're not speaking their language. Another thing also there is significant emotional experiences, what we call C. I'll just keep that. But a summary of that is that what you have gone through from the times of your fathers has affected how you see things. So you basically narrate things based on that experience, not the current reality. Okay, so these conversations, you want to have these conversations with them. And now you're asking yourself, how exactly? One of the things I do, and I recommend here, is don't try to impose your knowledge or your ideas on them. I made a reference to my son. I engaged him in critical thinking. So let's look at the example, or rather the topic here, which is leadership focus on politics. Every person wants to be young, yes. And in the class I told them, who would you rather be? Would you rather be the Davido or the Whiskey that's very popular, comes and sing? And when I was asking the question, everybody shouted, yes. Would you rather be that guy, popular, or would you rather be the person who can pay him to perform? and everywhere was quiet.
Mhm.
And so uncle would like to pay, would like to be the one paying him to perform. Yeah, because the person who pays him to perform has the financial power, as it were, to afford to take him anywhere he wants to take him to. So why would you want to be that person? And they started talking. So took that conversation into the corridors of power. So you want to be popular with power. Why do you want power? What will you use your power to do? So by the time we started engaging them in this critical thinking, the thought of just amassing power for self to
Mm.
seeing that power is best when it's used for the cause of humanity became their thinking. So I could use power, I could, and then I could relate it to having power to change the world, to Avengers, and any of all these things they have. Remember, I have to speak in their language.
Mm.
Okay? And then they see that. So if you have the power to become the president, what would you do? At that point, their thoughts are going beyond just power for self to power for people. It almost sounded like PDP. Power to the people. Okay. Yeah. But we know that the labor of our heroes past will not be in vain. And then their thinking goes, like I said, goes beyond just power to self to power for people. And then when you do things with power for people, it makes you more powerful. So power is not power until power solves problems that are appreciable. So we have that conversation. So what do you want to do with that power that people will celebrate you? And then we bring up stories, which is another thing here that is critical for this conversation. Remember, I said, do not impose your thoughts, your ideas. Ask them questions. These teenagers, they know a lot of things, so
Yes,
to be
so
surprising what they yes. But what they don't know is how to fix the puzzle of all they know to form the
mm.
beautiful frame. Yeah, and that is what you need to help them do. And in this process, it's not you doing it, it's you just guiding them as a mentor for them to do. And when they fix the picture, you see that they will own it and they will place it so high that you can never do for them. So the second thing now is now using narratives of stories rather, excuse me, stories and analogies. So I want to ask you, dear parents or dear teen mentor, how much of your history do you know? How much of what's happening in political climate do you know? There's Google for you, then there's YouTube for you there
Mm.
if you don't know. So what I do is now, guys, I'm very honest, and that's another thing you need to know in having conversations. You need to be very honest. Don't act as though you know it all, because the truth is they will always catch you when you try to outsmart them. I remember when I was in a church where somebody was trying to teach something in the church, and he was sounding as though he was all knowing. And then a teenager just brought his phone and said, "Uncle, I've seen this thing somewhere." And he went on Google and he showed me. And the person was teaching as though he was the original designer of the thought he
Mm.
was sharing, was just to be a fraud.
Mm.
He was teaching something he downloaded, and he was not making reference to that thing. How credible do you think the teenagers will see that person or anything he says? So in having these conversations, you need to be honest. So I let them know that, see, there's so much about Nigeria that me, I'm still learning. And there are books, I have books I bought that I'm still reading. If we could read it together, maybe they read one chapter, I read one chapter, and then we share knowledge. Guess what? When they see that they want to teach me, they take it very interesting. Yeah, they want to teach you something. Yeah, so you read this, I read this, let's share thoughts. We'll go on YouTube, let's make this research. What you see, come and tell me. So I take advantage of that. I show them videos, I play videos, summary of the history of Nigeria, and even in the process, everybody goes, "Wow!" Before the election, we did a countdown on our handle, and we were to say, "Do you know series? Do you know series?" And we found out that even adults were the ones who were responding more to us than the teenagers, that they didn't know
Mm.
what was happening around the country. They didn't know how many senatorial districts were there. They didn't know, it was
Mm.
just so funny how ignorant many of us are, and yet we want to superimpose knowledge on the next generation. So we need to be honest with them
Uncle
while
TJ, sorry
having this
to
conversation. Yes,
interrupt you. So, my children came around for midterm break, and my daughter said, a certain teacher in school had said to them in class that the Dingba man, who was an Igbo man, was the one that killed Mutala Muhammad. So that if you see, in fact, the thing was sounding off in my ears. But like you said, if you don't know it, how can you teach it? I had grown up hearing that story, but I can't remember checking it out. So I said to her, sit down, let's check. We went on YouTube. First of all, Dimba is not Igbo. He's from
Mhm.
Benue. In fact,
Yeah,
she
Benue.
was so upset. She was like, so how did this teacher? So what you're saying about the information we are sending to our children is really key. Do you think she's ever going to trust what that teacher is going to say from,
Exactly.
going forward? So if we're not sure, and she was asking me, and I was like, no, I don't know. So let's check it together. In fact, my husband was the one who was saying, no, Lingua is not Igbo. And I was like, I didn't even know. So we had to check it out. A lot of all, in fact, it was watching that video that made me even see that General Obasanjo was a very young man when he was, you know,
Head of
in
state.
government. And I was like, look at these people. They were all, it was a very good opportunity to learn. Please, guys, as parents, as mentors, I'm not a very good or interesting follower of history. But because of what is going on now, Kutije, man, I have to go out of my way
We all have
and
to.
begin to study these things.
We all have
So
to.
that
We all have
when
to.
we're talking with facts. You cannot influence
Exactly.
teenagers with sentiment. You see all this, it's not
Exactly.
fair. It's not fair. Teenagers, it
Exactly.
doesn't work for them like that. They need to see the
Exactly.
facts behind these things. Okay,
You know,
sir, please go on.
Tima,
I just needed to mention.
no. You are so on point. My son came home, was trying to tell me. We had a conversation of what did you learn, what did you learn today, and when he said something that was wrong, I corrected him. I even did. He was solving maths wrongly and all that, and I said this is wrong. So I went to YouTube and I showed him. You know, and then what I was solving for him, he was still like this. His mother said, leave him, let his uncle score this one wrong. I said, no, this is why we should get involved. Do you know when he got to school, what he did was called wrong? What I did, I wrote on the paper, I said, show your uncle was correct. Guess what he told his uncle? My daddy can teach better than you. you know? And when I got to
Yes,
school,
of course. Yes.
this is
That's
just
the
to also
key.
bring another angle to this conversation,
Yeah.
that we need to be more involved in our children's learning. Just like your daughter came to tell you a wrong information, you could have just passed on it or nodded your head because you just wanted her to pass. But you engaged in a conversation and you were able through your husband to get the right information. This is basically intentional parenting. Okay, we need to get involved. I just wanted to say that we shouldn't assume that anything they go and learn from school or from church or wherever they go is it, and then always use the tools you have at hand to make your research. So let me just pick up from there and share some other thoughts. Maybe then then we can do back and forth on questions. So um, why is it important to get young people thinking leadership? I want to delve into that direction. Why is it important to get young people thinking leadership? Now, the project I run got me to realize that there is a lacuna between generations.
Mm.
I'm more particular about Nigeria. And this could reflect maybe in some African countries or some other countries. There's a lacuna between the current leadership of the nation and the future leadership of the nation. The young people don't see the current leaders as interested in their future. So there's a natural disconnect. The current leaders are immersed with their agendas, forgetting to realize that they need to leave a legacy behind. So the disconnect goes wider. Most times, when you try to build a bridge, if people are not benefiting, they don't allow the bridge, to be built. What do young people see? They see more politics more, which it is, but not in this light. They see politics more as a thing of self-interest, or let me say, selfish interests. Okay, so why would they get themselves in their world, in Gen Z, their world thrives on more collaboration than selfishness. How will these two worlds, stand together? How? It basically won't, because there's no collaboration coming from up. So our project is seeking to build this bridge where these conversations, our current leaders are writing policies for a future they will not be alive to see. Why not engage young people and pick their thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
My son, yesterday night, we were cleaning the bathroom together, and he was telling me, Daddy, in my house, and you say robots that will be doing this. My traditional mind then has slapped him. Shut up. But the guy was talking about a future where he has created solutions so that some domestic chores will not take your time. That was another way to say it. So if we engage the young generation in leadership conversation, it will help us, one, even to design policies that will help sustain the changes we're trying to create or implement. Young people embrace change more than us, the older people. We are so used to our ways, we want to stay where we are, and yes, maybe grow, changing here and there.
Set in our
Yeah,
ways.
but
Yes.
the young ones, they are willing to experiment. They have the time to experiment. We don't have the time to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go on adventures with opportunities. We want to just measure the profit of the opportunities. They
Mm.
are more with the experience in it. So they tend to embrace change the more. That means they have a lot more of ideas. They are more optimistic than we are. We are so analytically driven, or with that our analysis, like they say, lead to paralysis. So we are there measuring profit and loss. They are just seeing what if it works, what if it works, what if it works, and if it doesn't work, well, it didn't work. Let's try again. That's one reason
Very
to get
true.
involved.
Yes.
Yes, they're actually more skilled in inspiring themselves than we are.
Hmm.
We are more competitive than they are. That's why we should get them. A lot of older people are trying to outdo the other person, while this younger generation, they're trying to influence people, with a cultural mindset so that everybody can conform whatever to whatever is the latest trend. And you see that they keep moving like this in blocks. So they are skilled at inspiring themselves. Etima, before your video will go viral, you may need to do something really crazy that is on anti-Etima like. But
Hmm.
these guys, they just need to do
Yes.
something. Pam, 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 it's everywhere. They know how to inspire themselves.
Yes.
Somebody will come up with a TikTok dance or one thing, and before you know, everybody is doing it. Now, also this generation, I'm talking about why we need to engage them in leadership conversation. They're actually more open to feedback than we are. We see feedback as criticism more than they do. They see feedback basically just as a way to compare their potential with the results they have done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is it, this is it. That's why they always have we'll do it again, we'll do it again attitude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, taking the answers. Now a lot of people are gearing for a lot more. They are trying us, we'll do it again. They think we failed, we'll do it again. There's always going to do it again because your
Mm-hmm.
feedback is informing their next action. Okay. These young ones also are more results driven and more focused to achieve that than we are. Ask the footballers, why are the football ages dropping in the senior leagues? Have you asked yourself that question? Look across board. Now, even we go into a biblical story, most of the greatest leaders in the Bible, they were groomed or picked or selected as teenagers. Yeah, so you
Hmm.
want change, you want progress, you want sustainability, you want innovation. We need to start to involve and engage them early enough so we can have these conversations with them. And then, you know, when I got to realize that even though I'm a global citizen, my my relevance is local. I will say that again so you understand
Hmm.
that. I'm a global citizen. I can function anywhere of the world, but my identity is traced to my locality. So no matter where I go, whatever I do has to be of meaningful impact to where I'm coming from. And when a lot of them have this idea that if they become the best surgeon in the world and they reside in Africa, in America, they will be the Nigerian American surgeon. Your identity cannot be detached from who you are, even if you denounce Nigeria. So why not become the heroes of our present, not just the heroes of the past, the heroes of the present, who others will arise and obey his call. So when we have these conversations, make them know the importance of their actions in the next 10, 15 years. And what we do with our projects is to make them know that Nigeria will certainly not change in the next 1, 2, 3 years. But Nigeria will become a better country if in the next 15 years we are all consistently doing this. I tell them my stories of how 15 years ago I was not thinking what I'm thinking now. Now 15 years have come and gone. Whether we like it or not, the next 15 years will be coming, and the current 15 year will be 30. How old was what's his name? Gowon? I think it was 28 when he became head of state.
Seriously, seriously, how
Yeah.
did we get to 70 years, 80 years? I don't
What was
understand.
he thinking? And those were the questions I asked. What was he thinking at 28 that gave him the number one
Yes.
seat? Regardless of the coups and the stories around, how was he the candidate, the choicest candidate to take the seat? Look at the history of those who fought for Nigeria. They were in their early 30s. What are we fighting for today? And the reason I started, so I'm not blaming this generation because that generation saw something that was inspiring by the both one, our cultural history, which is deep that we don't teach our people. What happened before colonization?
Mm-hmm.
We're strong continent. Yes, enlightenment got to the world from Africa, is what I have read and what I believe. Go read, go study. Africa was a gold mine to the world. Go and read from the Roman Empire and all that. Where's Egypt located? We forget that Africa was so rich and one of the wealthiest continents, and that was why it had to be conquered. And they used ourselves to fight ourselves. So when you come from that history, and then you see that the young people saw something that they could build with, they were able to engage the system to lead. Unfortunately, we were not as enlightened as we ought to be, you know, and then we were used to fight ourselves, and we're still being used to fight ourselves. That's why it's like we're not having the exponential growth as a nation that we should have. So when we have these conversations, and then these kids, no matter where they want to go, Costa Rica, wherever they want to go, but with a 15-year plan to
Costa
ensure that they are
Rica.
going to go
Costa Rica.
staying here, yes, or staying here, will will at the end
Costa
of the day
Rica.
leave a legacy for their name. I always tell my son that when their names are written on the wall of fame that people want to honor, will your name be there? Why will your name be there? He wants his name to be there. Why should your name be there? It will only matter when you start to invest your time now. Daddy was once your age and he invested his time watching Voltron, Defender of the Universe. He's here to defend his own universe. So if you want to watch Ben 10 or
Mm.
whatever you want to watch, don't end up like Daddy that ended up like a cartoon character, I would say to him. But thank God I'm getting
Mm.
myself engaged in this path, trying to raise the generation of young people who are aware, conscious, deliberate, and intentional, getting themselves into the space for public service. And then he's seen that and it's getting him excited. So, the conversation is not as hard. And let me ask this. If you think you are finding it very hard as a parent or a mentor to have this conversation because you feel it's not your tough, you rather talk relationship issues, sexual purity, and all those things, please call me. When I'm saying call me, there are many other people out
Yes.
there who can
Yes.
help
Put
engage
them in those
these.
platforms. Yes.
There are many. If you want to know wherever you're residing, watching this, reach out to me and I will send contact. There are people who want to share. Some of these people don't just know how to gather people to talk to them. Some of these people are busy, and until you call them, they may not respond. They are people who want to. So don't just think, oh, he almost lies on me. And in the process, please let your teenagers know that you're learning and share your learnings with them as well.
Mm.
Let me pause here for now.
Wow, thank you so much, Uncle TJ. Like, just listening to you has just sparked up that interest in wanting to have the conversation. Like, it's not sounding so difficult again. It's just sounding like, we're just gisting about it. And you'll be surprised that these conversations would also spark that interest when you're saying to them, look, teenagers love challenges. Most times as mentors, as parents, excuse me, we're on the part of support. A mentor is someone that supports and challenges. So if you're not challenging your teenagers to stand up, to rise, to get involved in politics, in leadership, to change the narrative, it's an imbalanced thing. It's not complete. They should be good, they should fulfill purpose, they should, get things done right, they should be good, like I said, they should live their values. Then what next? Who leads? Everything falls and rises on the table of leadership. They lose their right, like you said, Uncle T, to complain if they keep silence. If they step back and say, what's my business? Whatever they want to do is their business. So we need to get them to rise up, to speak up. I was having a session with
Yeah.
teenagers 2 weeks ago, and one of them was saying, look, I don't want to be hated, so I'd rather be quiet. See the point? I
Yeah.
don't want to be hated. I don't want to be bullied. I don't want to be shut down. I don't want to be that seen like a snitch. I don't want to be casted away. I would rather stay silent. Okutiji, how do we handle that aspect of the teenager struggle? Because I imagine when a teenager is trying to rise and say, look, this must stop, this is bad, this is evil, and then they're like, who are you? This is how it has been going on. How do they handle that feeling of standing alone rightly?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that first is more of an identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, when our young people get to know who they are, how people see them will become a less priority in their reasoning. And so, what we need to do is help our young people to see themselves as complete. As saying, you'll see on Sunday, there was a teenager that sent me a message. Um, why she doesn't like to go to church, and because everybody there is judging and all that and all that.
Mm.
And I simply told her, if everybody's judging you, like you said, everybody, then you must be special. That means everybody has time to look at you and admire you. It's you that is not seeing yourself as special
Like
as you
that.
are, not them. Yeah, they are all. I wish people are talking about me. She started smiling. I said, yeah, I wish people were talking about me. That is me. They're just talking. They don't have work. It's me that they're just
Mm.
discussing. Man, I don't feel with that man. She was laughing. I said, so you're just. I said, and their minds are too small to comprehend how unique and beautiful you are. She was like, wow. So we need to help young people see themselves as individuals, not people who are made up by the affirmations of others. Yeah, that is the strongest fight for them, to own themselves in their awesomeness of oneness. As wawa as people think you are, they say, monkey not fine, but mama like him.
Like that.
Yeah, there are some very fine people that are also struggling to speak
Yeah.
English or struggling to
Yeah.
walk or even
That's
struggling to
right.
breathe. You're just here. So what
Yeah.
matters most? We need to help them understand what matters most. When they understand that, every other thing. And then, as teenagers, one of the things we did alongside our Do You Know campaign was what we called Vote Your Voice. Your voice is the authentic tool you have for your identity. Your voice is your most authentic tool. There is a place where silence is golden. There's a place where silence is wisdom. That is when you are in the congregation of fools, silence becomes wisdom. But in life, your silence makes you a fool because it disdains the authenticity of your identity. Until you speak, no one will know the currency of your worth. So you need to vote your voice. Now, voting your voice is not getting out and shouting like every other person. It's sharing your thoughts in a way that it adds value, even though it comes as criticism. I don't know if the points are clear.
Hmm.
So I
Good
have these
one.
thoughts to share. The thought is not to condemn you, even though I criticize you. It's to get you to know that your position is not absolute and there are better ways to see it.
Yeah.
If you do not agree, it is you that is not agreeing, it is not me.
Yeah. I've
I don't know
said
if
it.
you get it.
I've
If you feel
spoken.
like I tell people anything you think about me is in your head, you are thinking about, oh yeah, this guy not good. This guy, it's your head that you're walking up. In my head, I am good. Case closed. You get it? So I will not battle with what is in your head. Let your head suffer the battle of trying to think, oh, how they want to do this guy, why you're doing like this. This guy in his head is dancing, to the reading. There's something, you see something on, on my status. I wrote something. I said, when life beats you, add rhythm and dance to it.
Right.
Yeah. So life brings the beats, I bring the rhythm.
Yeah.
So we'll help them grow uh, the right understanding of who they are as individuals, the uniqueness. Every person is a unique expression of God.
Yes.
I am a Christian and I believe God made us in his image. Therefore, if God made us in his image, there's no one person that is the totality of God. So
Not
each and
one.
every one of us are unique expressions, a unique side of God, a unique side. So if you don't like me, I am not the side that is your side. Maybe you
Yes.
are in the ear side. Yes,
The
you
back.
are in the back of the ear side of God. Me, I'm the eye side of God. When we get to understand that, we'll now realize that it is when the whole parts fitly joined together, there is an expression, a better expression. So it's not who you are versus who I am, it's who you are and who I am. It makes who we are. And then in voting your voice, we can take cases like Malala and other young people across the world who spoke truth. Now, they didn't speak truth in isolation. That's another part of the conversation. They didn't speak truth in isolation. Oh, you just come out there, they would have been gunned down easily. But they spoke truth to system with systems, and their voice have caused change across the world. So your voice matters. Let me bring this down to simple conversations in the home. Excuse me, please. Parents, how what environment or mentors, what environment have you created for the for conversations in your space? So if I always shout at my wife, how am I influencing the communication style of my child? If I always argue, quarrel, or throw words and tantrums, how am I influencing their conversation skills? Now, why this is important is because when they want to communicate outside, they will reflect these things. So many of them, when they want to talk back to you or talk to their world, they talk with the things you have deposited in them, which makes them now start talking rubbish most times. So it is critical that we help them learn how to communicate. So when they vote their voice, it is adding value at the end of the day.
Mm.
So they shouldn't go into a place and say, all of you don't know what you are doing, you are mumu, una not get sense. You know,
Mm.
there's a place, there's a scripture that says, Father, forgive them for they don't know what they do. Do you know what?
Yeah.
When I communicate that in a place where I know that people, these guys, they don't get sense. You know what I tell them? I say, get one scripture. Jesus just look these people, just say, Baba God, in New World Version, Baba God, I bet forget these guys, they don't get sense. Everybody will laugh, but I just told them they don't have sense. It's the way I communicated.
Mm.
It's the way I communicate. It's very important we teach them how to communicate. And in these conversations, difficult and easy conversations we have with our teenagers, we help them learn beyond what we are telling them, we help them learn how to have these conversations. So when they are voting their voice, they are adding value, even though they may be standing as critics to things that are happening.
Thank you so much, Uncle TJ. I've learned so much, and most of all, one of the greatest points I'm taking away from here is the point about helping them find who they are, because I realize that that's the foundation. If you have not dealt with your identity, how can you lead us? You're going to be swayed by everyone's opinion. You will not be able to stand your ground as a leader. Influencing and leading will become very tough. And that is why at every of our programs, we ensure that the whole identity thing is emphasized and re-emphasized. This also reminds me of the fact that we have begun registration for the Teens Easter Camp. Now, the Teens Easter Camp is a combination of Bible study and mentoring. Mentoring, of course, that is where we bring in the identity issues, we bring in accountability issues, everything that has to do with mentoring, peer pressure, and all that. Registration has begun because the Teens Easter Camp is usually on the week after Easter. So if you're in Abuja especially, we need you to register your children. It is in such programs that we start talking about things like politics, leadership, and influence deeply. It's not enough, like I said, to just come on Facebook and rant. In that little group, in that your house, in that school, in that club where you have teenagers, what are you telling them? So this is going to be another opportunity for us as mentors to teach our children, our teenagers about leadership, about what they can do to positively influence and not just misuse power. We're not going to come online and start shouting it. We're going to teach them when we have the opportunity. And so the Teens Easter Camp is that opportunity that you should take advantage of and get your children to build their identity. Trust me, this identity issue is a big problem for teenagers. So many of them, as they are so conscious of what people think about them and even what they think about themselves, it's screwed. I mean, it's just like they are neither here nor there. But the more they come into these sessions, the better they become at it. That's why I'm going to keep encouraging you. When you get an opportunity to send your child to a camp, a trusted one, please do send them. Thank you so much, Uncle TJ. Any last words as we round off?
Yeah, thank you very much, Etima. I just also want to celebrate the work you're doing. Thank you for being an inspiration to so many. Please keep doing it. For those who are watching, who are around in Abuja, please don't miss her camp. I've been there to facilitate for some of her camps. It's an amazing experience. Trust me when I say it's an amazing experience. So I'm one of the people say I endorse Etima for president. Well, in signing out, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has come and who have listened. I'm just seeing some of the comments. Thank you guys who are here and those who will watch the replay. I want you to know that that teenager who you do not help or inspire to see leadership as an opportunity to serve, will see it as an opportunity to be served. And when they get there and make everyone their servants, you and the legacy that you have built will suffer. This is not being prophet of doom. This is just telling you the things work. So rather than ignore them, inspire them. The person who will change Nigeria, it might not be Peter Obi, maybe the next teenager who we are not inspiring to see leadership as a responsibility. We will keep on doing our bit. We are currently running our project in Abuja and Edo. We hope to get to Lagos and run around the 36 states to get stakeholders in both private and public sector coming together for the purpose of raising leaders with focus on public service from these adolescents. We believe so much that they have the capacity to deliver the nation, as many of us have gone beyond the prime of our lives. It's time we invest the rest of our lives into the prime of these ones so that they can build a nation that we are all proud of. Thank you for having me, Auntie Etima. It's been
Thank you
a
so much,
pleasure
Uncle
being with you on
TJ.
this path.
Thank you. Well done for the work you do. Sometimes I'm just like, this kind of work, who is going to pay? Hey, God. This kind of trying to save humanity, trying to save Nigeria. The Lord continue to embrace you and give you more partners to push
Amen.
this narrative, because truly, if we have more leaders that are focused on public interest. I love that word, public. You're not focused on self. You're focused on the public. I mean, the world is going to be a better place for everyone. Thank you so much, everybody. If you're here live or you're watching the replay, we celebrate you and we hope that you can go and at least do one thing. Don't try to do everything on Kutija and Shevito. Just start with one. Start with one, just one. I'm sure that we would start seeing the changes visibly. Thank you guys and do have an amazing day. God bless you. And again, happy new month. Celebrate you. Thank you, Uncle TJ. Bye.
Yeah, bye.